Now, did your man come on the show?
Mr. K, yes.
Yeah, and what did Mr. K say about It's All Gone Pete Tong in its defence before I start?
Well, he obviously thought it was great, and he's Spinal Tap-esque observation about the dance and jigging around industry, and he seemed to think it was good. That the idea of a DJ going deaf was hilarious.
Okay, well, let's hear a hilarious clip from It's All Gone Pete Tong about Ibiza club DJ Frankie Wilde, who, in a hilarious twist of fate, is going deaf.
I was just talking to the label, and they'd like to see a couple of tracks. The label would like a couple of tracks, Frank.
It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
The tracks are coming, man.
Right.
Relax. Don't worry, mate. It's fine. It's all right.
I saw your show last night. It stunk. Because you might be deaf, Frank.
What's that?
You could be deaf, you could be deaf, Frank.
What's that?
You are deaf.
Can't hear, mate.
Deaf? Hey, you're talking like a 95-year-old war vet. Frank, you need professional help.
I'm thinking about getting some professional help.
Right. Now, all you need to know about this is, for a start, It's All Gone Pete Tong, in case you don't know, but everybody does, is rhyming slang for It's All Gone Wrong. Pete Tong was Still is famous Radio 1 DJ, and I think actually Mark Radcliffe actually first coined that phrase, It's All Gone Horribly Pete Tong. It basically starts off as one kind of movie, which is this, riotous post-human traffic, completely all over the place, totally unconvincing. And honestly, incidentally, comparisons to Spinal Tap are ill-deserved, frankly. The thing about Spinal Tap was it was beautifully controlled, marvellously comic, brilliantly satirical, works again and again and again, and endlessly quotable. None of that is true of It's All Gone Pete Tong. Starts off as this film about this absolutely horrible, repellent, cocaine-snorting, drug-abusing DJ in Ibiza. Halfway through, he goes deaf. And then it turns into sort of Children of a Lesser God with a club background, but it's trying to say something, and yet it sort of isn't, and it's making a whole bunch of jokes about deafness, but it doesn't really understand the difference between right on and completely right off, and then it sort of stops. Now, all you need to know to understand why this film is as catastrophically incoherent as it is the location, the title, and the financing were in place first. According to the writer-director, whose previous feature, Fubar, was actually better than this, they had those things, and he had a meeting. They said, look, we've got a title, we've got a location, we've got the funding. What we don't have is a script. So he goes, fine. So he goes off and he writes the script. And the idea of deafness doesn't come up until the third draft of the script. Now, I'm sorry, but there is a whole thing about putting the cart before the horse. If you are going to make movies on the basis of a good title, and incidentally, It's All Gone Pete Tong is not as great a title as they seem to think it is, a location, it's Ibiza, great, and funding, but hey, incidentally, would you mind going away and writing a script? And by the time you get to the third draft, would you mind finding the central thing that the script is about? What's going to happen is you're going to end up with a movie which careers off in 58 different directions, and every time it looks like it's about to do something interesting, it completely does something else because it's put together in bits. Now, unbelievably, the poster for It's All Gone Pete Tong has got these laudatory quotes, from various magazines. I think Loaded are quoted as having said, oh, it's absolutely brilliant, and some other radio station is quoted as having said, oh, best British. It's just an embarrassment, because even the bits that are half good about it are completely surrounded by totally inappropriate waffle that render them absolutely useless. Paul Kay, I'm sorry about this, but Paul Kay used to be Dennis Pennis, right? Mm-hmm. And in his incarnation as Dennis Pennis, one of his biggest coups was going up to Hugh Grant and telling him he was wooden. I'm sorry. The star of Blackball and It's All Gone Pete Tong told Hugh Grant he was wooden. If I was Hugh Grant, heaven forbid, I would be laughing myself silly. And I am sure that Paul Kay, and he may be a very nice man, never met him, have no desire to meet him, because on the basis of this, he has one act, and the act is... That's it. It's like this...
What was that, though?
It's this... The performance, it's like it's all rolling eyes and gurning expressions and big, I'm big and I'm wacky and I'm crazy and I do this cod geezer drawl thing and everyone thinks it's really funny. Well, A, it's not funny. B, it's not clever. C, the movie sucks. And D, even I know that this is out of date. I know nothing about pop music and rave culture, but even I know that all that Ibiza club DJ stuff was happening when I was at Radio 1. Dinosaurs were around when I was at Radio 1. You were still there.
Thanks.
It was ages ago. It's all gone. Not Pete Tong. It's just gone.